Imagine you buy a ticket to a Beatles reunion show. The lights go down, Paul walks out, taps the mic, and before a single note, he goes, "Quick housekeeping note to be clear, there is no band." That's the energy this week. Insomniac just dropped a big gameplay trailer for Marvel's Wolverine. Real game comes out September 15th, $70. And the creative director, a guy named Marcus Smith, sat down for an interview and said on the record, "The X-Men don't exist in our game." Wolverine, the X-Man, the single most famous member of the X-Men, the one they put on the box, the reason this whole franchise still has a pulse. In his own game, the X-Men are not a thing. They don't exist. Cool. Love that for us. I'm going to walk you through how a multi-billion-dollar studio looked at one of the most beloved superhero teams in history and went, "We'll get to it maybe 2030. And stick around because the only reason we know their entire master plan is that somebody robbed them. I'll get there. So here's what actually happened minus the press release glaze. State of play, June 2nd, Insomniac opens the show with Wolverine, new trailer, a lot of blood, Logan carving through a pack of cybernetic mercenaries called the Reavers, who spend their days kidnapping mutants and shipping them off to a billionaire named Bolivar Trask, a man whose entire personality is, "Regular humans are the superior species." Normal stuff. Pre-orders open within the hour, obviously. And remember, this thing was first teased at the Game Awards all the way back in 2021. Then it basically vanished. 5 years of near silence, so this trailer is the big payoff for a lot of people who have been quietly waiting since before half the games on their shelf came out. That matters later. Hold on to it. Jean Grey's in it. Big role, telekinetic, slowly becoming a leader for the mutants getting hunted. And in the trailer, Logan runs into her and has no idea who she is. Doesn't recognize her at all, which is genuinely strange if you've ever consumed any version of these characters ever, because Logan and Jean have something like 40 years of romantic baggage between them. It's one of the oldest threads in the whole mythology. But here, nothing, blank. Because they never met, because there's no team, no mansion, no school, no jet, no Professor X waiting in a chair. None of the architecture exists. Then the other shoe drops. Somebody asked the obvious one. This game's set in the same universe as Insomniac's Spider-Man games, right? Same studio, same world. The 1048 universe. Spider-Man is, in theory, swinging around somewhere in this exact city. So will he show up? A cameo, a wave from a rooftop, anything? From Smith himself, Spider-Man will not be making an appearance in Wolverine. Won't, not can't, won't. So let's tally the cast of a game titled Marvel's Wolverine. The X-Men don't exist, Spider-Man is benched on purpose, and the one crew Logan does get is a mercenary squad called Team X. So they cut the beloved superhero team and they kept the wet work guys. It's like opening a restaurant called Grandma's Kitchen, and the only thing on the menu is a man in the back vaping. And the funny part is, in the comics, Team X isn't even the warm and cuddly option. It's the Black Ops murder crew. So the pitch is no superhero team, but we did keep the assassins. Choices were made. And to be clear, the mutants themselves exist. Plenty of them. They're just known and getting actively hunted down. Jean's here, Mystique's here, Sabretooth's here, Omega Red's here. The world is crawling with super people. There's just very specifically, very surgically, no world in which they've ever banded together into the one thing every single person watching wants to see. That's not an oversight, that's engineering. So here's the part I actually want to talk about, and it's where this stops being a fun little haha no Spidey story and turns into something dumber. Back in December 2023, Insomniac got hit with a ransomware attack, a bad one. Hackers grabbed internal documents, unannounced projects to employ personal data, the entire vault. Genuinely awful thing to do to the people who worked there, and I want to be clear, I'm not cheering for it, but buried in that pile was the studio's long-term slate, and the slate laid it all out. Wolverine's first, then a few other things, then eventually a full standalone X-Men game penciled in around 2030. So actually sit in that timeline for a second. Wolverine 2026, where the X-Men don't exist, then a couple of years of other releases, then right around 2030, the X-Men suddenly do exist, conveniently, in their very own $70 box. They're not writing a story, they're running a layaway plan. You're paying for the team up right now in installments, and you get to take it home in about 4 years, assuming nothing slips. And the Spider-Man thing is the exact same trick. They're not holding him back because he doesn't fit the tone. They're holding him back because Wolverine meeting Spider-Man is worth a fortune as its own headline event, and worth basically nothing as a free 30-second cameo. You don't set off the finale fireworks during the opening act. You make people buy a separate ticket. This is the Marvel movie machine, lifted wholesale and bolted onto game discs. Phase 1, Phase 2, the big crossover somewhere down in phase whatever. Everybody lives in the same universe, and nobody's allowed to be in the same room until a release calendar decides it's profitable. And then it gets worse because there's a lock on the door. PS5 only, no PC version, not later, not we'll think about it. Sony has flatly said there is no PC version planned. And the licensing deal Sony and Marvel reportedly signed blocks every other publisher from making an X-Men game on console, on PC, on cloud, anywhere for as long as that agreement runs. And the X-Men missing from this one game is the small version of the problem. They're not allowed to exist anywhere else on any other machine made by anyone else until this one company decides the time is right. The team up you actually want isn't delayed, it's in a way fenced off. So let me step off the gas for a second. I'm not actually furious at Insomniac. They make excellent games. The Spider-Man titles were some of the best on the platform. The Wolverine combat looks brutal in the way it's supposed to, and the people who built this got hacked and had their personal lives leaked online for the privilege. Nobody earned that. What gets me is smaller and quieter than corporate villainy. There's a version of me, maybe 15, sitting cross-legged on the carpet in front of a tube TV, playing X-Men Legends and then Marvel Ultimate Alliance until my eyes dried out. And the entire point of those games, the whole reason you begged your mom for them, was that everybody was just there. You built a squad out of whoever you wanted, heroes who had no business being on the same team in the same room, instantly, no permission slip. The crossover wasn't a reward you unlocked 4 years later. The crossover was the toy. You opened the box and the whole toy box was already dumped out on the floor. That's what the stuff was supposed to feel like. People you love in a world together, actually getting to be in that world together. It was a treat. Sometimes it was a surprise. It was never inventory. Now the surprise has a ship date. The reunion is a skew. The exact moment that used to make a kid yell, "Wait, they're both in this," got measured and shelved behind a paywall labeled 2030. You can feel the spreadsheet behind the decision now. That's the part that actually gets to me. All right, so moment's over. Let's get back to it. Couple of things I couldn't fit anywhere else. This is a Wolverine game, a character whose entire function in fiction is turning people into coleslaw, and it ships with an option to turn the gore off. Accessibility is good. Options are good. I'm fully on board. I just quietly love that somewhere in a menu there's a toggle that basically reads, "Make Wolverine stuff." Pre-order, by the way, and you're rewarded with the classic brown suit, the reflective claws, 1 bonus technique point, and 4 PlayStation avatars, because nothing honors 40 years of comic history like 4 avatars. And they planted the September 15th date specifically to get out of the way of Grand Theft Auto 6 in November, which tells you precisely how the room feels about going head-to-head with that. And here is where I land, of course. The game is probably great. I'll play it. Just go in with your eyes open. You're not buying a complete Wolverine story. You're buying chapter 1 of a plan, and the chapters you actually came for are sitting on a shelf on purpose with a price tag in a future date. Don't pre-order the absence. Buy the thing when it's actually the whole thing. If this caught you in a waiting room pretending the free Wi-Fi works, good. Glad I could fill the time. If you got anything out of it, hit subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel claw its way up to the algorithm. Yeah, pun intended. Leave me alone. And do me a favor in the comments. Tell me about a crossover or a reunion you waited years for. The one that either never showed up at all or got chopped into pieces and sold back to you 1 box at a time. Be specific. I want the ones that still sting a little. And I'll see you in the next one. Cyler, out.